Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to RSI Day 2021. My name is Trevor Schell, and I'd like to welcome you all to the second of our month-long weekly webinar series, Increasing Awareness on RSIs. We are joined today with representatives from over 30 distinct countries, which can be seen on red in the map. And I just want to say that it's been really great having everyone rejoin us again for this session. And I'd like to introduce our first speakers, Dwayne Fuchs and Melissa Statham, who are going to be presenting on the revised Office Ergonomics Reference Guide. So Melissa and Dwayne, over to you.
Thanks, Trevor. Good morning, everyone. Like Trevor mentioned, we're kind of doing a weekly update on the different changes, the different format of our Office Ergonomic Reference Guide. So last week, we kind of gave you a brief idea of how it was going to look and what sections were going to be in it. Today, we're going to dive into some of the sections in our first 4 sections, so some of the areas. We're not going to go through all of the content in each of the areas because Trevor's only giving us a small window of time. But anyway, so we have in our first 4 modules is an introduction to ergonomics. We then go into work surfaces, which looks at different configurations. And then we outline the details of the chair and the different functionality and features a chair should have. And then we're going to look at monitors. In the monitor section, we're going to look at multiple monitors today. But again, just let it be known that there is definitely more material and content in the actual reference guide. We're just giving you kind of a taste. So introduction to ergonomics. Well, in this section, what it's going to do, it's going to look at the main ergonomic risk factors that are in the office. So we're going to introduce you to repetition, awkward postures, which is one of the main ones we see in an office environment, as well as static forces. We're going to talk about the Occupational Health and Safety Act because ergonomic hazards fall within the Act, and in the Act it states that you need, or an employer's responsibility is to train all employees on the ergonomic hazards, or all hazards in general, biological, chemical, physical, whatever have you, in the workplace. So ergonomics falls within that. So we're talking about musculoskeletal disorders. And we're also going to talk about the CSA Office Ergonomic Standard. Previous to 2017, it was only a guideline. The way we went about creating this reference guide is we wanted to make sure it was aligned with the CSA standard. Also, we're going to talk about, before you buy office equipment, what you should really look at. If you've bought anything, you know this whole ergonomic term is kind of thrown out there. Anybody can use it. There's no legislation or it has to have so many features of adjustability to be able to use the term ergonomic. And so it really is one of those buyer bewares, and you might want to actually create purchasing standards for your place of work. And meaning that once you find a chair that has all the proper adjustability and features, make that the chair that you purchase for your employees. So it's not at the point of, you give your employees a budget and they go out and they have to pick a chair. Because again, any chair could be labeled ergonomic if it just has one feature going up and down. The next section is going to look at work surfaces. So when we're talking about a work surface or workstation, it should be solid to support all the materials on it and have adequate space to have them as well, so you're not getting into any type of awkward posture. You want to have sufficient clearance under the workstation, so your legs need to fit underneath the workstation without getting pressed up on any surface or having any partitions affecting how you're sitting, because you want to be seated in neutral posture. Workstation configurations consist of either straight, corner, L-shaped, and U-shaped. So within the reference guide, it addresses all of these, and we look at it as merits of each and limitations of each. So 2 examples here on the side are straight workstations. So the merits of this would be they're good when users are performing only one task. So if you're doing computer or paperwork. Now, again, some of these, there's that what if you had a lot of space for the workstation and there was clearance underneath, you could potentially use it for more than one task. Some of the limitations are often there's insufficient space to house all your computer components on the surface. And also when individuals perform multiple tasks. There's the corner workstation, which we see in a lot of offices. And this can potentially allow for users to work from either the left or the right side of it as well. I think for some reason, anybody is able to share their content right now. And so that's what just happened to my slides. So I'm not sure, Bonnie, Trevor, Val, if you could eliminate that control. Here we go. Back at you. So hopefully we're going to hear me still. So this corner type of a workstation, it can sometimes allow for working on either side. Again, it depends how long or the length on each side you have. Because sometimes it doesn't allow for that, or you have those side drawers that prevent you from using that space, or if you use that space, you're in some type of awkward posture. So that's just kind of a taste of work surfaces, and Dwayne's going to lead you into the chair.
Thank you, Melissa. Hopefully everybody can hear me. Hopefully I'm unmuted. Thank you for that information, Melissa. Yes, I'm Dwayne from the Thunder Bay Oak Clinic. As Melissa mentioned, we were just kind of going through some brief points of the multitude of information that the new Office Ergo reference guide is going to have. So I'm going to talk about the chair a little bit. So basically, you know, what makes a chair ergonomic? Well, it's only ergonomic if the user can adjust it. Melissa touched on that before. The adjustability is the key with basically everything in terms of trying to make it fit the particular user that's using it. So it must fit that particular user as well as suit the tasks that they perform. One style of chair may not fit, well, definitely will not fit for everybody. So you need to go through and try different types of chairs and make sure that your dimensions fit the dimensions of the chair. In order for it to be adjustable, we need to look at the seat pan, that it's height and depth adjustable, the backrest, that it has height adjustability as well as angle adjustability. It's important that the backrest also have a lumbar support. Again, that's adjustable so that it can support the area for the particular individual. And then if you choose to require or utilize armrests, those should be adjustable as well. Okay. So here's an example of just some information regarding chair height. It depends on the size of the user. The working height is also dictated by the position, or the position of the chair is dictated by the working height. So if you look at the three illustrations on the left, we have three illustrations that show different work surfaces utilized. So the first one is how you would set up your chair if you were utilizing a fully adjustable keyboard tray. And you could bring your keyboard and your computer components down to you. The middle one shows you working at a workstation that is the correct height for you. So that's an example of potentially a sit-stand station or a desk that you can bring down to your level. So no footrest is required there. On the third one, the third illustration, it shows you how an individual might sit if they were working on a work surface that generally is a little too high for them and they can't bring it down to them. So therefore the chair height increases. But in order to get your body or the joint angles in the correct positions, a footrest is generally required. So if you take a look at all three of those illustrations, essentially the person's body is in the same joint angles for all three. So there's a great example of how the adjustability is required dependent upon what type of work surface that you're utilizing. The square on the right, we talk a little bit about the armrests. So the armrests of the chair should support the arms. They should allow access to the workstation, meaning they shouldn't get in the way so that you cannot move yourself forward and back and they shouldn't be banging into the workstation. They should be large enough to distribute the force of your arms when you are resting them. And so the height should be adjustable so that you can get your arms and your forearms and your elbows in the correct position. So if you take a look at those two illustrations, the one in the middle shows an example of armrests that are too low. So when that happens, the user generally tries to reach down towards the armrest. And when they reach down towards the armrest, they're putting pressure on their shoulders and neck. The one to the right, where it demonstrates the armrest too high, that's equally as bad, because now that places your body in a kind of a shoulder shrug position and also increases the contact stress at the elbow and the forearm as well. So in our section on computer screens and monitors, we go through a multitude of things related to how you would potentially view your monitor. And we talk about the monitor height, as well as the horizontal placement, the vertical distance, and the viewing angle, as well as the use of multiple monitors. So the example we put here is how the screen height, how we would potentially adjust your screen height. So there's variations. You can purchase height adjustable monitors. You can utilize monitor risers. Monitor risers are acceptable if there's basically only one user and you don't have to change it. You set it up for you and away you go. Stationary monitor arms, meaning monitor arms that don't necessarily move, as well as articulating monitor arms. Could we ask that everybody mute their microphones, please? I can hear substantial background noise there. Thank you. So the example we have on the right is an example of articulating monitor arms, meaning they're fully movable. So their merits are you can adjust the monitor in a wide variety of heights, angles, and configurations. They're very easy to manipulate. You can relocate your monitor when it's not in use, so you can essentially kind of push it out of your way. And they're ideal for utilizing one monitor. The limitations, I mean, they can take up a large portion of your workstation, dependent upon the type of fully articulating monitor arm you utilize. And sometimes they're difficult to configure when you're using multiple monitors. Here's an example showing you a little bit of knowledge in terms of the use of multiple monitors. Multiple monitors seem to be quite the rage right now. The illustration on the left shows you how you should set yourself up if you have two monitors, but you primarily use one. And when I use the term primarily, so if you're using one monitor more than 80 or 85% of the time, that should be considered a primary monitor. So the illustration shows the individual directly in front of that one monitor, because you're spending the majority of your time at that monitor. Your second monitor in this case is basically an adjunct monitor. It's a monitor that you might refer to once in a while. So the illustration in the middle demonstrates an individual that might utilize their monitors more equally. 45-65, 45-55, 50-50, those types of things. If that's the case, then you'd like to put the monitors directly adjacent to each other and directly in front of you. Basically, the meeting point is equal to where your nose is. That way, you're limiting your movement, your head movement from left to right. You're only moving the minimal amount of distance to utilize both monitors. The illustration on the right shows you the configuration in which you would potentially have if you had three monitors. And again, that's dependent upon the amount of use for each monitor as well. So here you want all the monitors as close as you can get them so that you're minimizing your head movement there as well. So next week, we're going to have another 10-15 minute presentation, and we're going to discuss the next four modules, or introduce you to the next four modules of our guide. external equipment, technology, the use of sit-stand workstations, and remote or mobile workstation setups. So thank you for your time today, and